Welcome to episode 6 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And this week we're talking 2 episodes. It's Never Too Late, and...
I've got a Batman in my basement.
I've got Batman in my basement, yes.
Also known as Batman Meets Scooby-Doo or Archie. It was great, guys.
I was doing some research as always, and so quick tangent, I was actually very excited about this episode because I don't have strong memories of the episode, but when I was a kid, I had a picture book. I don't know if you remember these, but they were picture books, and on the side of the book was like a little plastic keyboard, and you push the buttons that made sounds.
Yeah.
And it was for this episode.
Oh, wow.
So I had...
for Batman in the basement?
Yeah, I've got Batman in my basement. It was specifically this episode because I remember I remember Sherman, I remember Roberta. You could push the button for the vulture and it would squeal. You could push it for the Fabergé egg and it would give off a little ching sort of thing. But I didn't remember the episode at all. But I remember that book.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. But I remember that book. I may have actually never even seen the episode as a kid, but I remember the book. And I was trying to see if I could find an example of it to show you on the internet. And when I was looking up this episode, all I got was people going, holy shit, this is one of the worst Batman episodes in the whole series.
I wouldn't say it's the worst. I would say it's the campiest.
It's super campy. I mean, it once again proves what you've been talking about, how...
This is still a kid's show.
It is still a kid's show. It's very much...
This is still on at 9 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's kind of a one for them sort of thing, where it's one for the adults, one for the kids. And we're going to see that in these 2 episodes. Because I think the first one, It's Never Too Late, a very adult episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it piggybacks very well off of what we talked about last week with kind of the changing nature of not only Gotham, but the show in general with Harvey becoming Two-Face.
Yeah, it's dark, it's cinematic. I have some notes here from actually very specific cinema polls that it's taking inspiration from. Very strongly different. But so diving right in, Cameron, how does It's Never Too Late start out?
It's Never Too Late. What do we start off with? We start off in the home of...
Damn it, I should have looked at my notes for asking you that, because I assumed you knew.
Yes.
I
got it. It's fine.
I think it's Stromwell.
I wrote Stormwell.
It might be Stromwell.
I'll go Stromwell.
I'm going to let you do a recap while I look this up real fast.
Perfect.
I didn't actually write out his name. I have abbreviations S all the way through to get shorthand notes. So,
okay.
Take us away.
So we start off in the home of Stormwell.
What's his first?
I don't remember. I didn't write his first name down. Arnold.
Stromberg is a Batman villain. No, James Bond villain. This is Batman.
This is Batman.
This
is Timm Talk.
This is Batman?
Welcome, guys. This is Timm Talk.
Oh, I thought this was Flint.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
I'm totally mistaken. Okay.
And I'm with my partner, Chris Lord.
I don't know who I am.
So we start off Stromwell. He's the pinnacle mob boss of Gotham right now. And he's watching the news.
The established crime boss.
So he's watching the news. And there's a report going on talking about how Rupert Thorne, we talked a lot about last week, is kind of encroaching on...
It is Stromwell.
Damn it.
Wait, is that what you were saying?
You were saying Stromwell. I was saying Stormwell.
Oh, okay. Fuck it, whatever. Stromwell.
He's the kingpin. There's a news report going on about how Thorne is kind of encroaching on his territory. And then they briefly mention right at the end that Stromwell's son is also missing right now.
Yeah, so then Stromwell assumes Thorne's responsible.
Right.
Fair assumption.
So he's, ready to get his vengeance. He's not ready to give up the kingpin position at the moment. He's, he's top dog in Gotham.
Mm-hmm. So then...
also, quick second. They refer to Thorne as the young up-and-coming... He's 40, right?
Yeah, he certainly looks old. He's got the white hair going on. I got a little confused with that moment, too. I'm like, wait, who's...
The up-and-comer.
Who's the young kid stepping in here? Apparently it's Thorne.
Is it the 12-year-old Joker from Gotham?
Oh, God. The show that I refuse to watch. Oh, I did get really excited, though, because I recognized the voice of Thorne, and it took me a moment to realize, do you know who that is?
I didn't write it down now.
He's the voice of Dean Vernon Wormer from Animal House.
Oh, wow, he is.
Yeah, which is funny, because I probably saw Animal House before I ever saw Batman. Thank you, Dad, for having that be part of my education as a kid. But I was really...
It's very important for young men to watch Animal House.
It is. It absolutely was. But it set horrible expectations for college, though. But I got really excited when I realized that, because I love that movie. That's my first tangent of the day. It's not even my first, is it?
Yeah, no, I think we're on base for most of this.
I don't know.
So Stromwell is trying to he has a meeting set up
Wait, is it
with
Stromwell or Stormwell?
Stromwell. What did I say before? Cromwell, the Halloween. I'm going to call him Cromwell.
Cromwell. All right, Cromwell.
Because I just watched Halloween Town, and that's all I'm going to talk about now.
Yeah, so Arnie Cromwell.
Arnie Cromwell, warlock of Halloween Town. Well, before he's heading over, we jump cut to Thorn sitting in his like restaurant, I guess.
Oh, I think it's Pete's restaurant. But I mean, yeah, it's one of his.
It's one of his kind of hangout, hideout things. Bullet goes there a lot. Apparently, they have great cannolis.
I'm assuming that's a Godfather reference.
I think so. It has to be.
It has to be.
And they're talking about how they're going to take out Cromwell. I told you I'm going to do it.
No, I like it. We're going to go with it.
I was going to take out Cromwell. And basically, they don't want to just like shoot him because that's unethical. I don't know why. So they're just going to blow up the entire restaurant with him inside.
Yeah, because they basically like, we're going to set a trap for him. And then we get a flashback to a train yard.
Yeah, we see
two little kids.
We see Cromwell driving to the meetup.
Oh, that's right.
And as he stops at the train tracks, he has an anxiety attack. And we get the flashback
of him and another kid at the train yard.
Mm-hmm. This episode should have definitely been before
the Underdwellers.
Yeah, the Underdwellers.
I think it's the same train yard.
I'm sure it is.
It must be. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids. They need those PSAs. It's very important for those PSAs don't play on trains, kids.
This is like a much stronger PSA, too, because in the Underdwellers, the kid just got his like foot tangled up on the top of the train. This kid's got his foot stuck in the tracks.
Which they don't show for a little bit, because you just see him standing there.
Oh, that's true.
For a good, 10 seconds. Well, the camera doesn't cut.
He's a punk. He steals candy. He doesn't give a fuck about trains, man.
Right. He's going to rule this city someday.
He is.
He does. Congratulations. He followed through with his dreams. We have this flashback moment where, they're walking down the train tracks. A train is coming. Cromwell gets his foot stuck. The kid next to him is freaking out. And at the last second, he gets his foot out. And then he turns. And what do you see? Another train.
Another train. And then we come out of that. We don't know what happens at that point. We just have a train heading towards him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then we go from there, and they're in the cafe, right, for the meeting?
Yeah. All the goons step outside. It's just Cromwell and Thorn. And the second the door closes, Cromwell has his big bad Harv moment.
Oh, wait, I did have one note. So when they're getting ready for the meetup in the restaurant, there's like a passed out drunk.
Oh, right. We completely forgot about.
I know, there's a passed out drunk sitting at the table.
Yeah, what's his face? Is that our first appearance of Matches Malone?
They don't actually say by name, so maybe it's Matches. I'm not sure, but I mean it's clearly Bruce, and we can hear Conroy's voice, and you can hear him like clink something under the table. But it made me think about it. In this, they do a great job of having Bruce go in disguise sometimes because you can be inconspicuous by blending in rather than dressing like a bat. We've never seen that in a lot of the other media.
Right.
And at no point that I can think of in any of the movies does he ever go in disguise. I mean, in The Dark Knight, during the daylight, he goes out in a motorcycle helmet and stuff, but he's still just walking around as Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the movies have avoided that because it would look ridiculous?
I think it's more of this show. We mentioned it in a couple other podcasts. This show focuses so much on Bruce outside of the cowl.
That's true.
Whereas every other movie, it's Bruce is the secondary character.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's either 50-50 or, as we've seen, Bruce has a more important role where Batman kind of isn't exactly the last resort, but he does everything he can to prepare beforehand. And he has all these other personalities. Like we said with the Forgotten episode, that he has an entire closet full of costumes.
It's a fabulous closet. I would love to see in one of the movies him put on like a civilian disguise and go incognito and then pull off the mask and it's Tom Cruise.
And then it's just the trailer for Mission Impossible 6. Yeah. Or Jack Reacher 3.
Ooh, I'm excited for Jack Reacher. Yeah. But yeah, I had to just want to talk about it real quick because I thought that was...
Yeah,
I like
it's a very important moment. Yeah,
yeah, and it shows that he's clever. He can do more than just skulk about. So,
well, I guess actually, now that I think about it, in the movies they focus more on the gadgets, whereas he's not. So when he's listening in, he's not ever in disguise. He's just kind of in the building over, like doing surveillance.
You know what? I will give credit. I forgot in Batman Begins when he's surveilling Rachel before he's actually built the bat suit. He did put on a whole bunch of stuff to make him look like a homeless guy with a hood, and he's got the microphone under the hood. So you know what? Okay, they did it.
They've tried.
They did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well done, Nolan.
we're back at Pete's. Cromwell is entered. Goons go out. Cromwell freaks out because he believes that Thorne has his son. And Thorne is a pretty heavy-looking guy. He must not be that heavy, because in the past 2 episodes, we've seen him get thrown around.
He does get thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
I think he'd just be opposed to that, too.
Right.
It's beyond physically challenging. You'd think he'd fight back a little bit.
Well, I think at that point, he was trying to be like, because he said he wanted this to be a...
Oh, like a peaceful meeting.
Yeah. Not white flag, but yeah, a peaceful meeting. And he has his line of, I don't hurt family. Like, that's against my code.
Yeah. He's saying, like, I didn't do anything with your son. It's not me. It's hard to read him. To be fair, in the last episode of Two-Face, he did hold Grace up at gunpoint. Oh, yeah, he did. He did, didn't he?
Yeah. But they weren't engaged yet, so they weren't technically family.
I'll give him that.
He never got through the engagement.
Yeah. He never does.
Never does. So Cromwell kind of calms himself a little bit, and he's kind of thinking about like where his son could be. And while that's happening, Thorne leaves to the back room. Cromwell's like, "Oh, what's
shit.
going on? This is a setup."
We see Batman like briefly kind of pop up behind Cromwell
because he's been there the whole time.
He has under the table, probably.
Just in some shadowy corner,
zamboning like old Pino off the floor.
So right as the building explodes, you see Batman grab Cromwell, jump out just in the nick of time. Yeah. The goons are freaking out because they think their boss has just died.
They scurry off. My thought on this was, poor Pete.
Yeah. That's what I meant earlier. Why couldn't they just shoot him?
Yeah, it's like, why? Shooting someone is so simple, or poison him or something. But like, why?
I mean, at most you would just clean the floor.
What about an exploding restaurant?
Is subtle.
Is subtle. It's less likely to implicate a murder than shooting someone. I guess
you could blame it on like a gas fire.
Less evidence for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Shoddy codes.
I would probably assume less evidence, because then they said there was, because the police were like, there was a body in there.
Did they mention that there was a body?
Yeah, because they were asking that's the thing they didn't say. Because
was it like the dishwasher? Who was left in the building?
Well, I mean, they were saying that it was Cromwell, but no one knew that it was him. They just said there was a body there.
Oh, okay.
But then there was the stoner guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, no, man, Batman had a guy on the roof.
Yeah. Batman swoops in and saves him. Poor Pete.
Yeah, and then Pete just has no bar anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pete. I mean, he's probably getting, pretty good money from Thorne, I guess.
I would hope so.
Maybe he's going to open a nicer restaurant. You know what? Maybe Pete's going to be okay.
I think
maybe he's going to move like downtown a little bit. More gentrified neighborhood.
Think in future episodes we should look. He's probably just going to go to Metropolis.
That's true.
There's a lot safer people there.
Yeah, until Metallo smashes through his place and destroys his pizza ovens. But until then, he's got a good life coming. So
good old Pete.
Oh, Pete. Sorry, Pete. Oh yeah. So then Batman rescues Cromwell and does some pretty impressive running and acrobatics. How heavy do you think Cromwell is? Like, what will be your guess?
I'm gonna say he's like 6'2".
Yeah,
like the good height for a mob boss.
Yeah, he's probably.
I'm gonna say like 160.
Oh God, no, he's gonna be more than that. I mean,
he look pretty skinny. He's old.
He's old, but I mean, he's a beefy guy. I mean, I'm like I'm like 160. So
I guess he did throw.
Yeah,
throw around Thorne.
Yeah, he's probably like
190.
That, yeah, like 190, 200. But still, so Batman leaping over rooftops, carrying a 200-pound man on his shoulder. I thought his most impressive move was when he leaps off the building, lands on the flagpole, bounces, flips in midair, and then lands and keeps going. That is
depending on where the weight is, the flip would probably be easier.
Oh, that's true. Actually, yeah, that's true. He's going to have some inertia going for him, some momentum. Wait, momentum, not inertia. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but still, kudos to Batman. We always think he's just a bruiser. No, he's lithe, man. He can move. So he goes running off. Police are on the scene. Now everyone knows that Cromwell's still alive. And Batman takes him to the Sunrise Foundation.
Yes. And now we enter the Christmas Carol part of the episode.
Right? Yeah, that was one of the bits of trivia, was that this is like kind of a little bit of a Christmas Carol, and also It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, Ghost of Mob Boss Past.
With Batman as the angel escorting him through. He is. Those eyes.
That voice. Conroy.
Just keep talking.
So he walks into it's a hospital, kind of a rundown.
It's a rehab clinic.
Yeah, sorry, rehab clinic. And he goes into this one room and he sees his son, who is in critical condition.
Little Crommy.
In critical condition.
Crom not so well.
Yes. Yeah. You nailed it. and his wife,
ex-wife.
He's like, why didn't you call me? He's like, well, you're kind of a dick.
Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah. And you learn that Cromwell Jr. got addicted to the pills that Cromwell Sr. was manufacturing. He had a very bad addiction to the drugs.
Yeah, because Papa Crom's like, hey, like, I'm going to get whoever got him hooked. And Connie's like, it was you.
Look in the mirror.
He learned it from watching you.
I was about to say, we have our next PSA from our 40s, or not 40s, from our 90s. Where did you get that cigarette? I learned it from you, Dad. Very much so. This is another one of a great PSA episode with a lot more heavy reactions from it.
At least it's got some good drama to it, and fewer crocodiles than our other PSA episode.
So then from there, Cromwell says that, okay, Bruce or Batman this whole time has been trying to get him to talk and kind of rat out other mob bosses.
Yeah, to turn.
And at this point, he's like, okay, I've seen the error of my ways. Let's go to my office. I'll give you the files. They get to Cromwell's office. He gives him phony files. What does he call them? Like not padded.
Dummy files.
Dummy files. He kind of turns around and all of this has just been for nothing. Pulls a gun out on Bruce or on Batman. And very conveniently at the same time, Thorn and his group of lackeys at the bottom is at the base of the building.
Yeah, they see them up there.
Yeah, and they throw in tear gas, completely incapacitating Cromwell.
Yeah.
Bruce has his mask.
Commercial break. Batman's in peril from tear gas. We come back. He's got a gas mask. That's fine.
Yeah. We come back to the flashback, right? Or he fights first.
Oh, yeah. I think we come back. Bruce pulls out a gas mask. Batman pulls out a gas mask, throws like a desk through the window or something like that to like vent out the space. Yeah. Cromwell then runs out and Thorn follows him. And he runs out onto the tracks, the same
train tracks, yeah.
Now, Cameron, if your biggest fear was trains, where would you put your office? Would you put it right next to the very train tracks that nearly killed you as a child?
I mean, if we're going on Gotham knowledge, Bruce's biggest fear was bats, and he built his lair in a bat cave.
You know, I do agree with you.
He could have been Train Man.
Yeah, it's like Cromwell did not become Train Man. Missed opportunity.
Man. He could have been the terrifying train.
Oh my God, yes. The runaway train of crime. Oh, there's so many options here. This might be as good as the Condiment King.
This is an alternate universe we're creating right now.
Yeah.
Train Man.
Train Man.
Oh. It's got to be a better name than Train Man. What's the alliteration we can get for this? Tommy Two Trains.
Ooh, that's really good.
He just carries Tommy guns around wherever he goes.
Captain Choo Choo? No, that's bad.
So he's on the train track. And we have a kind of clear flashback, an extended flashback from before. Do you learn that it's his brother yet? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I realize now we did skip over right before
a pretty big part.
Yeah, because it's small moment, but it's big later. When right before Cromwell's going to the meetup, Batman stops in at a church and is talking to a father there, and he's like, "You got to go save Cromwell." And then we still
the one man I wish I didn't have to save.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I got to go save him again. And yeah, we don't establish then that it's his brother, but I think here we finally do, that we realize that
not that they're related, but the kid in the flashback is the priest.
Yeah,
I think you make that connection.
Yeah, exactly. So extended sequence. Cromwell gets his foot unstuck, goes in front of the other train.
Yeah, you see
Michael.
Yeah, you see the second train. Michael jumps in to save him, and then the flashback ends again.
Yeah, well, he grabs Cromwell, young Cromwell, little Crommy, throws him out of the way of the train, and then we don't see what happens to Michael.
We assume he's dead.
Yeah,
I assumed he died.
I had a note too. It's like, why do they show that? If they make it seem like he dies, and then we come out of the flashback, and Father Michael is now there, old, alive, and we learn Sans leg, that he lost his leg, which that's a way to like play off that something bad happened. If you actually think about that, that would have been an incredibly horrific moment.
Oh, it would have completely separated his leg.
Yeah, like it would have crushed and shredded his leg under the train. If you were witness to that, that would be more traumatic than almost getting hit by the train. Seeing someone lose a leg to a train. So what we've really learned here
for Train Man.
Train Man, Train Man, who I think that have a lifelong rivalry with the Hopper or something like that. Like some guy with one leg, some sort of one leg related villain.
I mean, my favorite will always be the Iron Kneecap.
Oh my God, the Iron Kneecap. The Flamingo.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
That's the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the counterpart. We don't know if it's a hero or villain.
Why are we not writers for Batman?
We've
got this. Yeah. What we've pitched is better than Underdwellers. So just throwing it out there.
And Forgotten.
And it's all better than Gotham, too.
We can get at least 3 seasons out of this.
Yeah. The characters we've just created would fit perfectly in the Gotham universe. So we should get on that.
Yeah. So at the very end of the episode, he sees the priest. You learn that they're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Cromwell kind of asks for forgiveness, finally. And then he kind of knocks on his leg.
Yeah.
And it's made of wood. So, knock on wood.
Ugh.
And then at the very end of that, you see that for the first time ever, Batman has won. He convinced a villain to stop their villainous ways.
He finally cured one of his villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess to tell people, Cromwell went to Gordon. He's like, I have something to tell you.
Because Thorne's going to shoot him. Batman swoops in, knocks out Thorne. Yeah, so Thorne gets arrested. Cromwell's going to turn
rat
informant against everyone else to go learn the error of his ways. Yeah, you're right. Batman
wins.
He finally won.
After the tragic loss of last week, he wins.
After losing his parents and his best friend and the love of his life, as we'll find out later.
His other best friend goes to college.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, his ward goes off to college. But you know what? He saves this random gangster. He did it. It just takes one. We made fun of this episode a lot. Overall, though, I actually think it's a pretty solid episode. You look at this one versus the one we're going to do next, which is all about the Penguin, right? And this is...
You can kind of say it's all about the Penguin.
It's all
about Archie.
The Penguin's in it, yeah. This is definitely the stronger of the 2 episodes. This is actually a really strong episode. We've said before, this is one of the adult episodes. It has more adult themes to it. It has some, actual real emotional stakes, some real narrative. It has real danger, real peril, real consequences. His son's out on drugs. This is some pretty heavy shit.
His brother should have died from a train.
Should have died from a train accident. Yeah, had his leg obliterated.
Instead, he became the Flamingo.
Exactly. Greatest villain ever.
With Tommy Two Trains.
And the Flamingo. It's a hell of a double act right there. They could hold a circus train thing going on. Oh, it's going to be great.
No, their lair is inside a circus tent.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of abandoned circus tents all around Gotham.
Yeah.
But they might have to fight with the Joker for that space.
Well, I feel like Joker's done with circus tents are low game for him.
That's true.
He goes for the amusement parks.
That's true. He wants amusement park. He needs a roller coaster with a broken track to really have a good hideout. We've got to write this. It's good shit. But what I was thinking about is this is kind of one of those kind of forgotten episodes. And do you think this show, having done such great versions of the supervillains and made the supervillains so memorable, obviously the Joker in particular, do you think that this show is part of the reason why more grounded, real world criminals have kind of seeped out of other forms of Batman media? Basically, what I'm getting at is we get him fighting crime bosses in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. But in everything else, so all the subsequent animated series, all of the movies, the animated movies, and pretty much all the feature movies that have come after this, very little elements of the mafia or the crime lords. Is it just because the supervillains the stakes are bigger, they're more interesting? Is it hard to go? Do you think, especially with the feature films, whenever you have a supervillain trying to destroy Gotham, is it hard then to come down off that and have it be more street level crime? This because I found this a really compelling episode. I liked that it was real people, real criminals. We don't get a lot of that anymore. I'm not sure where I'm going with it.
I think it definitely is. For the movie standpoint, obviously money is a big issue where it sells better with bigger villain names. Even in Dark Knight, like you said, we got the Falcone family. Yeah,
we got the Maronis. I think that was kind of where Batman started back in the day, right? The supervillains became a huge part of it, but he started out just a street level guy fighting crime, and it's almost as a character now he's gotten too big for that.
Well, I think also, I brought this up in a couple episodes, it's more interesting when you see, I think it kind of goes back to the idea that Batman's villains are other versions of what he could have become. When you have pre-established mob bosses where their motivation is, I stole a piece of candy, now I'm going to rule the city.
Yeah. Now I get that.
And you can kind of relate that. There's that underlying theme for a lot of these episodes of fatherhood.
Yeah,
we saw that with when Joker plays father to
be a clown.
Yeah, and you have this one.
Yeah, this one.
You have this one where again, Cromwell is. He's a rich father, similar to Thomas Wayne, and just a very neglected son. And you see that in in the shot of his house at the very beginning, over the fireplace, you see the family shot.
Oh, the family portrait, yeah.
In a very similar fashion to you see the Wayne portrait. I feel like you see the duality of the villains. They all relate to Batman in some way, which just contradicted my point from the beginning.
No, it's I've honestly lost track of what I was asking or where we've gone with this. But I don't know. I guess what I was getting at is I miss kind of the gangster level crime, street level crime. So I'm glad we still have these episodes because we do get a lot of that, and they're good ones when we get the street level stuff. I have like a few little bits of trivia for the episode.
Okay.
What did I have here? Oh, that the brothers, like that dynamic is based off of the 1938 movie Angels with Dirty Faces.
Okay.
Which I don't think it's quite as famous as the spoof of Angels with Dirty Faces from Home Alone. Do you remember that? So when he's watching the movie he shouldn't be watching, it's called Angels with Filthy Souls.
Oh.
And it's the stinking animal thing. That is a spoof of what is it? Oh, Angels with Dirty Faces, which this is like structured around.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, I got excited about that because, I love those scenes in the Home Alone movies. My other note was about how crime bosses kind of diminish in subsequent Batman stories. But I don't know, any other thoughts on this episode?
Not really. I think it was a great follow-up of Two-Face.
Yeah.
Especially because this could very much be like a week after Two-Face, because I think Thorne encroaching on Cromwell's space is due to the absence of Dent. Like, Dent has been on his ass for at least 3 months. You could tie them together like that. At least 9 months after the Two-Face change, where he hasn't had the ability to grow his mafia size. And now with him gone, you see that push for power. And then again, it's hard to know how much the characters knew. But I like to think that Thorne had this power play where he knew Cromwell had this fear of trains. He had this traumatic incident. He has these anxiety attacks. And that almost weakened him. Like, he found his weakness. He found the weakness in the sun. He may have found the weakness in his mental stability.
Could be.
And that's how he was able to take over so quickly. Because obviously Cromwell is the mob boss. Like, he's the kingpin of Gotham. And you see him kind of just get taken down like nothing.
Well, and what we realized too is that it would have been so much easier for Thorne instead of blowing up poor Pete's place if he just set off a train whistle in the restaurant. Probably would have just given the guy a heart attack and done is done.
But it's all about kind of these power plays
it's a good episode. I like it. I liked it a lot. I think it was the kind of tone that they nailed with Two-Face, that they carried it through. Then we get I've got Batman in my basement, which tonally kind of goes in a whole different place.
So if you think about what we've seen in the past couple episodes, we had a decent Joker episode, the best Joker episode so far. Then the amazing Two-Face arc. And then this one, that's four great episodes. And what's next is Heart of Ice.
Oh, yeah.
And he got this little blemish on the good streak.
It's, I referenced Home Alone for the last episode. This whole thing is basically just Home Alone towards the end.
Well, the way that I like to see this episode, especially with the kids, when I first started watching it, I was thinking it was Archie, like Archie meets Batman. Yeah. And then it reminded me of the 70s New Scooby-Doo Adventures, where Batman and Robin, the 60s Batman and Robin would come and join Scooby on an adventure.
I love those episodes.
And then I'm like, what it is this is a pup named Scooby-Doo meets Batman.
Oh my God, sans red herring.
Yes.
Best character ever. Oh my God.
So that's, for people who haven't seen this episode, imagine Batman placed inside, with no context, Batman just dropped inside a pup named Scooby-Doo universe.
It's special, but I have a weird little kind of soft spot for it.
I remember briefly talking about this on the very first episode, about how this series is so great because it does perfectly encompass the best moments of the three previous generations. You have the campiness of the 60s, you have the adventures of the 70s, you have the dark grunge of the 80s. This is an episode that is solely in the 60s. This could have been a great plot for the Adam West Batman.
It probably is. I've never seen all the original
This might have been an original script.
One. Yeah.
They just didn't ever film it.
Dug it up
because Penguin was a big villain in...
He was, played by Burgess Meredith. I've seen the Batman 60s movie more than I've seen the show.
Same.
But I love Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. He's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
His laugh is just like the greatest thing ever. But clearly this version of the Penguin influenced by Danny DeVito's performance.
Which is also great.
It is great. I think Returns is the best of the 90s movies.
Okay. I'm still going to say that Forever is my favorite.
No, that's fair.
It's Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Forever is...
Not Drew Carey. Jim Carrey.
Also would have been great. Forever is very entertaining. but I do love Returns. But I guess they actually didn't know what to do with Penguin in this show originally, because they wanted him to be like,
makes sense with this.
It makes sense. Well, because they wanted him to be like the witty, intelligent villain. They kind of wanted him to be a counterpoint to everyone around him, but
that's what Riddler is supposed to be.
Yeah, so they weren't quite sure to do with him, and I guess one of the ideas they had was that he was going to be like a Norman Bates character who was always under the oppression of his like overbearing mom, who he never actually saw. I don't think there was any sort of like schizophrenic drag elements to it, but not knowing what they're going to do with it, they decided to just change it to resemble Danny DeVito, and Bruce Timm actually, I guess, went to the set and drew Danny DeVito in costume to get the look. It's because he has kind of the look of
Draw me like your French girls.
Oh my God. I'm sure Danny was just splayed out across the bed on the set.
That's the only way I envision Danny DeVito.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Well, either that or chasing down Wayward Ham and what's the other show he's on? It's Always Sunny.
Always Sunny?
Yeah.
I also just see him as Philip TD's from Hercules.
That's of course he would. He's great in that. He looks just like him too. But
so this episode,
right?
I took no notes on this episode. By the way,
Good.
So I'm just going to freeball this one.
All right, I got some notes here. It starts out with a couple of window washers stealing a Fabergé egg. Quick, Cameron, how do you spell Fabergé?
That is a question for someone else.
I had to look it up because I didn't know.
I can barely spell my name. Okay. Let's not focus.
Wait, the long version, the short version.
I got Cam Dexter. That's easy.
Okay, good. I'd be really, really bothered if you couldn't spell Cam.
I forget that E sometimes, man.
You know, it's sneaky, that E. Just Camron.
Yeah, it's 2 syllables. It's easy.
It's super easy. Okay, so it's a Fabergé egg. We don't know how to spell Fabergé. Batman shows up. He gets attacked by a vulture. He has a really hard time fighting off that vulture. Now, it's a big bird. I'll give him credit. It's got talons.
It ripped through his costume. Which is something that most villains haven't been able to do yet.
That's true.
No goon has ripped through the suit.
What I do love is how he dispatches, at least temporarily, with the vulture, is that he like
flips him over the edge.
Flips him and he throws him off the side of a building. Mm-hmm. He's a fucking bird.
Yeah.
Like, what's that supposed to do?
He's going to enjoy he has to take the time, at least how I understand bird physics. They have to take the time to like get the wind back under their wings. So they dive. They have to keep diving, like planes. They have to like get that lift back.
Oh, okay, I just assumed that
it takes a couple seconds. So while in those like 6 seconds it takes for the bird to get back up to him, he can take out the 2 goons, which have already escaped.
I just assumed that the bird bounced off of an awning and then collided with a stone wall and killed the green pig. But that's just me. So dispatches with the bird, and then Batman finds like bird seed at the crime. And then we jump.
There's only one place that has bird seed.
Yeah.
The penguin's lair.
If you come across like a batch of like highly traceable chemicals, there are like 10 different places to go to, but there's only one place with bird seed.
Only one factory that makes all the bird seed for Gotham. And it all goes to the Penguin.
It all goes to the Penguin. Yeah, that's his criminal empire. Is all based around birdseed.
Yeah.
And so
it's a pretty lucrative business.
It is, actually. Yeah,
when you monopolize it, he's got a good thing going for him.
Yeah, just a bunch of old people want to feed their birds.
Yeah.
Keeps them going. Almost as much money as he gets from the Fabergé egg. Mm-hmm. Almost as much. But
honestly, at the end of the episode, I really wish was going to like hatch into some other bird.
To a Fabergé bird?
Yes. Like something happens and they drop it and it opens up and it's just like a jewel-filled penguin.
Yeah, well, it's a pink Fabergé egg, so it would be a flamingo that would pop out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be
the son of Flamingo and Tommy Two Trains.
Flamingo Jr.
Yes,
popping out of the egg, after Batman throws the bird off the building, we go to the suburbs where we meet Sherman, who is he a reference to Peabody and Sherman from
That's what I was always thinking. I don't think so.
He looks like Sherman. He's got the red hair and the glasses. He looks like Sherman from Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Yeah. So I'm going to assume it's meant to be Sherman. But it's
I still think it's just Archie.
There's definitely an Archie influence there. Mm-hmm. So it's him and his friend Roberta, who Sherman wants to be a detective. He's got a little like detective kit. He's got some neighborhood bullies who are kind of giving him shit. Through his binoculars, sees the vulture. It's a really rare bird.
It's like a South American vulture.
South American vulture.
Not something that's supposed to be in Gotham.
South American giant vulture. It's not supposed to be in Gotham. So they go chasing after it. They get to the birdseed warehouse, birdseed factory, where the Penguin emerges from underground.
In all his glory. And bad Shakespearean talk.
Yeah. I mean, he's, to the credit, the writers did make him distinctly educated. Like, he comes off as far more polished and educated than a lot of the other villains. So although he has the look of Danny DeVito, he does not have that character's personality. Like
Right.
it's very much a classic Penguin personality with that look. Batman arrives, buries Penguin and the other villains under Birdseed.
Grabs the egg.
Grabs the egg. The kids get stuck on a conveyor belt, about ready to get smashed.
PSA time.
PSA time. Don't climb on conveyor belts.
Don't go to the Penguin's lair.
Don't go to the Penguin's lair. That's just stupid.
So he like shoos them out.
So he gets them out of there, and then the Penguin launches a gas bomb at him. Knockout gas. You know what? I'm buying that one. That's like a decent way to take out Batman. I guess he's not expecting a gas bomb.
I mean, it worked when Joker did it. It worked for him.
That's true.
It probably gets passed around the underworld. Like, hey, he doesn't know how to handle gas.
Give it like 30 years and he'll just be immune to it.
Yeah.
He'll just get hit with it so many times. But until then, he gets knocked out by it. He stumbles out to the Batmobile, calls it with his remote. He falls into the car and then...
also Batmobile, not covered by a dumpster this time. I was kind of upset.
Yeah, I was a little upset about that too,
It's just like behind a wooden box.
Yeah, so Batmobile comes up, they jump in, the kids see the Batman's unconscious, push him into the car. The Penguin and his villains jump on, try and smack the car. The kids drive the car very poorly.
Actually, before that, I really like the moment where you see all of the gadgets on the car. He's like flipping all the switches.
He's flipping the switches, like a whole bunch of rockets and missiles and the tire shredders.
It was cool to see.
Flamethrower, I think.
Yeah, I think at the bottom. And then he has his own knockout gas.
He does, yeah.
Which is very important.
Yeah. He's immune to that gas.
Well, obviously. And then, they drive around, knock off all the goons from the car.
Yeah, I mean, it gets pretty banged up because these are kids. They don't know how to drive. So they figure out how to drive because they then drive it to the suburbs and park it in an alleyway.
Well, I mean, if they could walk, if they ran from the suburbs to
they're on their
Penguin's
bikes.
lair.
They left their bikes behind, didn't they?
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, poor kids lost their bikes.
If only there was some billionaire that could replace them.
Just shows up and, they're just clearly like Wayne brand bikes.
Yeah.
It's just like, Batman's just like white out over the name Wayne.
It's Batman.
It just scratched out.
Or no,
Batman brand.
It says Detective
brand.
Just like Detective Comics, it's Detective Bikes.
Detective brand bikes. And so now Batman's incapacitated, unconscious in this kid's basement because mom's gone, so they can do whatever they want.
Asking for capsules. They keep hearing captured.
Yeah, capture, yeah.
It's like, no, Batman, you're not captured.
You're not captured, you're here.
We're not keeping you.
You're here in our basement.
Which was hardly a basement. It was like a garage.
Yeah.
There's a very distinct difference. People in the Midwest, you understand.
Yeah, I had a basement once.
It's nice.
I'm not going to go into more detail on it than that. I'm just going to let that hang ambiguously. And
we'll learn about it in future episodes.
A little creepily, too. What's with Chris in his basement?
So while they're taking care of Batman, you see the bullies walking outside.
Yeah.
And just very poorly covered. You see the Batmobile just like with a couple boxes on top of it.
They throw a brick at a pile of boxes, and that reveals the Batmobile, which the doors open on it. Like the sliding roof
is unlocked. Yeah.
Unlocked. Yeah. I guess they didn't know how to close it. Maybe that's why.
I assume they just didn't
so
know
the kids
where
get
the
into
lock
it.
button was.
Sherman comes out, and it's like, hey, you kids, get out of my Batmobile.
Get off my lawn, you kids. Brings them.
What happens?
They're like, it's the actual Batmobile. And they're like, no way. And so they bring the bullies down. Or no, the bullies get in the car and they flip a switch. Where
they pull the visor down.
Yeah.
They see the capsule. They go back down to the basement.
Yeah.
Which we see that Sherman has set this place up like his own little detective space. He has a Joker poster on the wall. Kids probably shouldn't have Joker posters on their walls. Yeah, just throwing it out there. Also, he references the Batcave by name. He's like, oh, it's not quite as cool as the Batcave.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Well, he is a detective. We got to give him that.
Is this like a young Tim Drake? Like, I mean, because how do people of the Gotham City refer to Batman's Batcave as the Batcave? Do they know he has a cave?
I mean, I'm sure they know he has some kind of lair.
I mean,
and they just refer to it as the Batcave.
I mean, if you know that he has a Batcave, wouldn't you then be like, oh, let's dig up some old maps of Gotham and see where there's a big cave somewhere? Let's not get too realistic on this. That's pointless.
Especially for this episode.
Jesus. Let's see. The bird comes back. The bird attacks. They give Batman the capsule. Penguin arrives. Cuts the phone line. Begin Home Alone sequence.
Yes. Batman is still not waking up.
Still not waking up. The kids just whip off his utility belt because that thing has no security measures on it anymore.
Right. They've all been used at this point.
There was like one time he's like, oh, I guess the security measures broke. And he just never bothered to fix it because now everyone just pulls that thing off. So they grab.
Didn't it like shock one person? It had the pink. Yeah. So he's just
Pink
out
splooge.
of things. He hasn't had time to refill it because
That's
it gets
true.
taken off every time.
Yeah. It's just he's burned through that. So the kids set up a whole bunch of traps around the house. They put tripwire at the top of the stairs. Mm-hmm. So one of the guys falls down the stairs and then like falls on the stairs. We assume that's like meant to like hurt him, but then he somehow gets wrapped up in the tripwire. It covers his entire body. And he hops his way back up the stairs. They blow up the staircase, like going to the upstairs staircase. They just set off explosives.
Yeah.
Yeah, like throw out some tear gas.
And then Cobblepot is just upstairs, just breaking everything.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, how bourgeois, and he's breaking things. The kids tie him up in bolas, but luckily he's got a knife in the handle. That umbrella has a shitload of knives in it because there's one that pops up out of the top to cut the rope. There's another one. It's like a rotating blade that pops out to try and cut Batman's neck. And then when Batman breaks the umbrella, he pulls the handle out and there's a third knife in that thing.
Well, I think this is before he has like a bunch of different umbrellas that do a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And this is like, he put all of his money into the one
This is his Swiss Army umbrella.
that Batman just breaks.
Yeah.
And he's like, Batman's going to break a lot of these. I just got to make a couple versions. I'll have the helicopter one.
The cheap one.
I'll have the gun one. I already used my smoke gas one.
That's true.
This is my
that's
knife
That's a one and done. So that's gone.
Yeah. So this is just the knife umbrella.
His multi-purpose knife umbrella. And then they've given Batman the antidote. He regains consciousness.
Just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of
as
time.
always.
And ties them up, punches them, knocks them out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, a bunch of unimportant things. And then we end with the great moment of the mom. So the mom left. Mom comes back, freaked out that the whole house is destroyed.
Yeah.
Comes downstairs and he's like, Mom, I'd like you to meet Batman. And Batman's like, ma'am. And then the greatest, I don't think we're ever going to top this line to end the episode. He's like, he looks at Batman. He's like, are you single? Then it ends. So, you see, usually we mainly see Bruce's personality shifting into Batman. This is the first time we see Playboy Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Playboy Batman.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention this. It must have been the Two-Face episode. We actually see Bruce like hitting on a girl at the party, I think. One of the ones I watched recently, we see.
Yeah. I think
it's that one.
He's not hitting on a girl, it's the fiance.
No, he's actually like, whatever. But yeah, we do.
No, I know exactly
Yeah,
what
there
you're
was a
talking
moment
about.
of Playboy Batman.
Yeah, it's when Harvey's leaving the party.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Cock blocking his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
What a dick. Oh, hang on. We did skip the part where Batman has a sword fight with the Penguin, but Batman's using a screwdriver.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, rather than just disarming him.
He's got to show off his fencing skills.
That's true. He's got some pretty
He spent a lot of time training on this.
Yeah, mad fencing skills.
He never gets a chance to show them off.
I feel like that's kind of the episode. We got a little bit of I got a little Penguin trivia here. Any other comments on the
I just want to
episode
say
itself?
poor Penguin for this being his first appearance. I mean, I mentioned this before that like there are a couple villains that have already that we don't really get a backstory for. They're just kind of
I feel like he's one of
selected.
them.
Yeah, it's like him and Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Riddler. I don't remember if we get an Enigma.
No, we do. The Riddler's origin is explained.
Okay.
And I think maybe Catwoman too. I don't know. We'll find out in the coming weeks. We're getting closer to her.
2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think it's that sounds right. So, but I mean, Penguin. It's funny because
Cobblepot.
good old Cobblepot. He's one of Batman's most famous villains, and some people consider him one of his greatest. Some people also consider him one of his shittiest. But no matter what, he's definitely one of the most iconic. So, as I always do, first appearance in Detective Comics number 58 in December 41, way back in the day. And for the most part, he's actually more or less remained intact. So he always was like a mobster, a thief, a gentleman of crime. He uses trick umbrellas, and his inspiration was cool cigarettes back in the day had a top hat monocle wearing penguin.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to post this photo.
I think we're going to have to post a photo because it's absolutely amazing. That was the inspiration for the Penguin as a character. His origin is more or less the same. My favorite version, though, was like his original origin. He was like a little kid who was bullied at school because he was short and had like a bird-like nose. And he always had to carry around an umbrella because his neurotic mom was worried about him because the Penguin's dad had died from pneumonia after getting wet in the rain.
Yeah.
And the best part, though, is that the mother owned a whole bunch of pet birds, and they were Oswald's only friend, and he turns to crime after she dies because the birds are repossessed.
Yeah.
So he turns to crime to get them back.
Makes sense. I mean, they're his only friends.
Yeah. That's so many. That is the exactly sort of just crazy origin stories they used to come up with, like in the 40s and the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you talked about before, kind of like pre-Stan Lee, who like grounded things and made them much more realistic. Yeah, just he carried around an umbrella. That's his origin. But I mean, I'd say his most common origin was that he was kind of born into the social elite, but outcast from it.
Right.
So that was, part of Batman Returns. I think it's kind of maybe implied a little bit just because of his gentlemanly ways.
His demeanor and the way he talks.
It's that way in The Batman, which followed the show. It's that way in Arkham in the games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of his most common thing. What's kind of fun about him, though, is that unlike the other villains, he's completely sane.
Right.
Like, he's never treated like a crazy person. He's, completely has all of his faculties.
Except, that his friends are birds.
His friends are birds. Yeah. But I mean, you know what? We have pets. I talk to my dog. He talks to his birds.
Sure.
But I mean, he doesn't have, he's not crazy. Like everyone else, all the other Batman villains are straight up fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
He's less so. He's pretty much just totally in his faculties. So he doesn't have, I think, as distinctive of comic arcs. With Two-Face, we had
Long Halloween.
specific books to go read. Like, I looked up for him. He is a player in No Man's Land, which I think actually that's just a good serious read if you just want to get snippets of all of the villains, because a lot of them are in there. Have you read Batman Earth 1?
No.
They're kind of more one-offs. So they started with Superman Earth 1.
I've read that one.
Yeah, which is like the better version of Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And then Batman Earth 1 is, again, kind of a much more grounded, realistic. And he's the mayor. And it's a really good story, actually.
Okay, I remember parts of
Mayor
seeing
Penguin.
Cobblepot as mayor.
So we talked about earlier in the 60s TV show, played by Danny DeVito in Batman
92.
Returns, which is great. We'll see as we get a little farther into this that by the time we got to the new Batman Adventures, they basically did away with his kind of grotesque features, and they made him much more the traditional, just like top hat suit businessman. He runs the Iceberg Lounge.
Which is interesting because if you jump to the Batman,
it comes back.
Yeah, it's not even the same. It's an over exaggeration, where his nose is like half the size of his body. But I mean, in that iteration, they kind of changed the look of all of them to be a little more cartoony.
Yeah, they're all a little bit weirder.
But that wasn't done by Bruce Timm, so we're not going to go into that.
That wasn't. But voiced by Tom Kenny.
Yeah,
which is great. So I do want to talk about one thing real quick. You said that you love Forever, and I don't know if I actually talked about this yet. That the reason I love Returns the most, I think, is the only movie that very much deals with the idea that you love, that all of the villains are reflections of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So in Batman Returns, the Penguin is, like Bruce, was born into wealth, but what would happen if Bruce had parents that didn't love him and support him, right? This character becomes this monster, this criminal whose whole thing is he's also driven by his parents, but from the opposite. He wants to take revenge on everyone for the life he had. In that movie, you get Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, who's, again, imagine if Bruce Wayne weren't a philanthropist trying to help the city, but was corrupt and trying to sabotage the city. And then, of course, Catwoman is also struggling with the duality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think that one's really great, because I think it really does dive into the idea that his villains are reflections of him. I don't really think any of the movies have done that quite as much.
Yeah, not any that I can think of. Even in the animated movies, I feel like that's kind of the best interpretation of, like you said, connecting the villains to Batman. Yeah,
because obviously Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum one-off, that's very much about treating the asylum as a physical manifestation of Batman's brain and of his psyche, and all the characters reflecting in that. But yeah, and I think in other media, none of them have really explored that idea. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that a few years ago rewatching Batman Returns, that's when it became my favorite, because I think it's the only one that deals with that, which is kind of cool.
Okay, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
I just like
God damn it,
Batman Forever.
It is very shiny and pretty. And I actually really like the score of Batman Forever, too. Mm-hmm. That was the first live-action Batman movie I saw.
Same.
Yeah, I remember...
Jim Carrey is amazing.
He's great. I remember being old enough to be excited about that movie coming out, like buying magazines, like had like pictures of all the characters and the toys and like the gadgets and stuff. And
yeah,
I got so fucking excited for that movie.
I was 3.
Yeah, I know. Little baby.
Yep.
Little child. Yeah, anything else to talk about?
We're going to try and start the weekly media.
The plug. We'll come with a better name for it than that. But yeah, kind of talking about something cool you discovered this week, something you're reading, something you're watching. What are you watching right now or reading?
I just watched these two crazy movies. I still feel like I'm getting down on the high of the second movie. For any anime fans out there, I watched Red Line for the first time. And to give you a brief explanation of this movie is if you had Speed Racer and instead of driving around a mountain, he was just driving on a mound of cocaine, then that is the movie. It is crazy.
Which says something.
It took 7 years to hand animate. It's all...
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's all done frame by frame by hand. It was made, I think, 2007. So that was right around the turn of like 3D animation becoming mainstream. Just an absolute... I can't even begin to explain. He has like a 4-foot pompadour haircut. And that comes into huge play when he races, and it's everyone just please go watch that movie. It's insane. And then another movie I watched. So I don't know if I've expressed this on the podcast yet. My favorite movie is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Because it's an amazing movie. How could it not be?
But what I didn't know is 4 years after that came out, there was another movie called Cool World, which is kind of like the C-list knockoff that stars Brad Pitt, which is crazy to think about because he went from Cool World to... What is it? Confessions of a Vampire? What's the vampire movie?
Interview with the Vampire.
Interview, not Confessions. Interview with the Vampire. And please just... The premise of this movie is crazy. It's doodles, because they can't use the word tunes, are trying to seduce real humans into their comic world in order to sleep with them, because if they sleep with them, they become real people as well.
So basically someone watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit and was like... I want to have sex with that cartoon, and made a script out of it.
Yeah.
And by that cartoon, I'm referring to Roger Rabbit, not Jessica Rabbit.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm watching. Are you watching or reading anything right now?
Well, I've been catching up on Futurama, because I love Futurama, but I never actually watched the Comedy Central years. Mm-hmm. So I've been watching that a little bit. But I've also been reading the Batman Beyond comics.
Okay.
So not the ones that came out when the show was on, but I think around like 2011, they started doing an ongoing series that it's definitely still set in the animated universe, but that there are elements of the mainstream comics that are in there. So like they refer to like the big quake that happened, which never actually happened in Bruce Timm's time. And the costumes, the old costumes are kind of designed off of the comic costumes. It's pretty good. There's actually a lot there if you do Batman, Justice League, and Superman.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what all leads into Future's End, right?
I don't know, because I stopped reading it a number of years ago and I decided I want to go back and finish it out, because I like comics that have a definitive end run, and this one does. So, but they're pretty good though. Yeah, I mean, I love Batman Beyond. It's my favorite. So they're good continuations of those stories. So I'd say go check them out.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Yeah.
So just as always, we are at...
I'm at Cameron Dexter on everything.
And I'm at Lordifer. And for the podcast, it's at Tim Talk Pod on Twitter and Facebook and Gmail and Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah. And thank you to Olga Desatnik for coming in and being our audio engineer. We're recording, as always, down at the podcast booth at the Nerdist-School. So check out nerdistschool.com. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Next week, we're doing a single episode. We're just doing Heart of Ice.
Just Heart of Ice, yes. Very excited for that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a special guest.
We might, yeah.
You'll find out next week.
But I think that's it. So until then, thanks everybody.
Thank you guys.